Hi, Vanessa. Welcome to the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, our pleasure. I'm really excited to have you. Looking forward to our conversation today. I think it's a topic that we actually haven't specifically dived into before. So I'm looking forward to hearing how you approach it with your clients and the specific clientele that you have. So what I would love to do to start is, could you share with our listeners a little bit about what you're currently doing with your IHP certification?
Yeah. So becoming an IHP for me was really a big turning point. It really opened my eyes to the holistic way that we can help people heal and feel better. And so right now I really work with high achieving women and entrepreneurs who are wanting more energy, the people that are tired of being tired. And so I use the knowledge that I've gathered, and of course the de-stress protocol to help clients, obviously detox, but really understanding the root cause and set new habits. I always talk about biohacking, and I know this can be a little bit controversial, but to me, biohacking is really something you become. It's not about the tool, the data, the innovation. Yes, it's that, but you become sort of a biohacker for your own health, and you become your best advocate. So I teach the women that I work with how to become non-negotiable and how to use their energy as their gauge. So is, really knowing, okay, what's really successful for you, what's not, and how to anchor these new lifestyle habits is really gauging on, is this giving me more energy or is it draining my energy? And we sort of build from there. And it's been amazing, beautiful transformations. And I love it.
Yeah, that's great. And sometimes just getting a client to be in tune with how they feel, just getting them to pay attention to the gauge is a whole, thing in and of itself. Like some people are just going, that they're not even feeling. And so even asking a client, not even put aside what they actually are feeling, right? Just getting them to pause long enough to get in touch with that can be a huge shift for some people.
Yes. And especially the women that I work with. And this was me also. I built a first business and completely burnt myself out and actually never was connected to my body. I was very connected to my mind, sort of from head up, but had never really paid much attention to my body, even let alone just my breathing, So exactly. I help women reconnect with their body and therefore with their soul and their soul's purpose. And it's so magnificent when women can really start owning who they are and their needs, right? That's a big topic also, but I love that stuff. That's really what lights me up.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I, on that topic, because I love that too. I think it was maybe like an Instagram, how they do those voiceovers on a reel or something. Yeah. It was something that said, you're not tired because you're doing too much. You're doing too little of the things that light your soul.
Light your soul. Yes. It's funny. I think I saw that one this morning.
Oh, really?
Clearly it was meant to. Yes. I think it was actually a client who shared that. And I was like, that's precisely it. Mm-hmm. That's how I answered her. I was like, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So you mentioned that you were doing something or you had a business that kind of drained you out. Have you always been in the health and wellness space? Tell us a little bit about how you found IHP, what kind of got you started on this path.
Yeah, I've always been a wellness advocate and passionate about health optimization. I did my degree in kinesiology almost 15 plus years ago. And then I kind of derouted a little bit into the skin health industry. Mm-hmm. And I was in there for 12 years and I built a network of medical aesthetic clinics. And through that, I burnt myself out and found myself completely on the ground. And then I had to rebuild myself. And I realized that what I had learned in my kinesiology degree wasn't nearly enough to understand the complexity of what was going on. And I also knew that the burnout didn't come from me working too many hours like we often think it is, but really from that deep disalignment with my body. right? And not listening, like I said earlier, to what my body was really, truly needing. There was this whole concept also of the feminine and masculine energy. I was really in that deep masculine energy, like the hustle. Didn't really tap into my feminine side. And I think at one point the imbalance, anyway, got me down. So I knew I had to heal myself. I knew I didn't have the tools. And so I started looking and I found IHP and I was like, that's exactly what I need. And so I just dived in. I completed it so fast and I just decided to completely immerse myself into it. And I was applying like each module, I would apply the changes. I used myself as the guinea pig. And I just saw every day, I would see, the light getting brighter and bigger and closer. And I started feeling so good. Of course, the detox was for me an absolute game changer, like a big pivotal moment. And that's why I'm so passionate about it now. Like I remember thinking like everybody needs to know about this, especially women, like, because what's great about the detox is it forced me back into my body. There's no escape at that point, right? It's like, you got to feel what needs to be felt. And so, yeah, like what I learned in IHP really allowed me to heal in such a beautiful, like not fast, but like beautiful step-by-step holistic way. And it allowed me to really see so many different facets of myself that I had never even considered or explored. Of course, when I started opening that can of worms, I realized I had like mold exposure and heavy metal and candida and parasites and the whole deal. And so I did all those healing protocols in the right order, in the right moment, with the right mindset. And now I'm lucky enough to be sharing all of these things with the wonderful women I work with.
Yes. Yeah. It really, the whole, layered process of, just taking it one layer at a time. I meet with clients all the time who think, everything's going to happen in like one call. They're going to get all the information and then just like kind of take it and go. Right. But things unfold as you're kind of going through the steps of whether it's the de-stress protocol or going through the steps of detox and then, another protocol after that. Other things kind of unfold. And sometimes you have to zig instead of zag. And it's really a process, and doing it yourself, with the guidance of IHP is helpful. But then that's why coaches are so important, because you can kind of guide clients in one direction or the other based on where they're at.
Absolutely. No, there is no one straight line. It's a journey, and everybody's on a different journey because we all hold different histories too. And I realized, like, to me, what I'm noticing now, and I don't know if it's because of the past 3 years and the mental health, issues that we're seeing, but I'm really noticing that there's been a lot of numbing. Like, people haven't been feeling the things that need to be felt. And so there's a lot of, anger and resentment and things like that are sort of crystallized in the body. And there's that too, that is very individual. Everybody's different. Everybody has their, a different past, a different history. So there's that too.
Yes. Yeah. And to the depth and level that some of that stuff exists can determine how quickly someone will be able to move through, healing protocols, and how easy it may be, or how many setbacks they might have. And, having a little bit of a gauge on that, having that understanding as a practitioner can be so helpful to clients, whether they know it or not, right? For you to kind of have that lens, okay, this might be easier, or this might be challenging based on, even just their emotional history.
Totally. No, that's the one piece that I'm realizing now is really, really important. I was going to say maybe the most important one, but it holds a big space that I didn't anticipate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the numbing it can be so culturally tied in, because there's nothing about our society or culture that really allows for time and space. I mean, everything is just one thing to the next. I mean, whether it's like kids, whether it's, business, it's just, there's no emphasis on the importance of time and space and slow. And you have to be really intentional and dialed into the importance of that for you to be getting it at all. If not, you just like get sucked into the vortex of what's next and the hustle culture.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what happened to me. I literally realized I don't think I had taken a deep breath in 10 years.
Yes.
I was shallow breathing for this whole time, hustling through.
Yes. Which, if you think about it, when you're running from a lion, right, you can't stop and take shallow breaths. So your body gets in that constant state of that sympathetic nervous system dominance, literally where like danger is perceived in the body. And for women specifically, this is not how their biological landscape was meant to function. For men, yes, they were meant to maybe like escape the lion and get the food and get back to, the family with but for women, like that was not our biological role. It wasn't the design, which is going to lead us to kind of our next topic, which I think, especially with women, high achieving women, right? We're in that mindset of we can have it all, which I absolutely think we can, right? But there has to be some emphasis on kind of de-stressing and supporting the body so that you can continue to highly achieve. I know so many women who, for a few years, they're just full steam ahead and they are extremely successful and everything's working great, right? But there's usually, especially for women, that crash that comes because the adrenals can no longer handle it. Their hormones can no longer handle it. So I would love to hear from you a little bit about your experience with kind of these, more higher achieving women entrepreneurs, your clientele, and what you see as the most important piece of getting them to kind of slow down and come back to their body, as you said.
Yeah, it's so important. And like you say, you need to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's usually what I teach them is, okay, I know you don't have 4 hours to self-care. I don't either. I'm huge on ROI, return on investment. So I try to speak their terms and be like, let's find the little steps that we can implement into your day that will allow you to drop these shoulders, have some belly breathing, to heal, digest, and rest, which is really the only place that we can be in that parasympathetic nervous system. So I try to meet them where they are and find what is the one little action we can start with. And sometimes it looks very mechanical and it'll be, for example, okay, we're going to set an alarm, depending on how far they are down the rabbit hole, every hour to remind us to breathe. It's like, it sounds silly, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes that's where we begin. And that alone, by the next session, they're like, oh my God, like now I know, now I feel so like I know what drains me. I know what gives me energy because I connected back to myself as opposed to rushing from one thing to the next, the phone, the next Zoom, the next call, the next,
Mm-hmm.
So I try to meet them where they are, but my goal is always to bring these little moments of, let's call them relaxation or feminine energy, sprinkle them throughout the day so that more and more they can find themselves again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you said, like, as women, we were designed to be more in that feminine energy. It's what is natural to us. But through the rise of feminism and trust me, I'm all for that and I love that. But now seeing through my experience and the ones of the clients I work with, I'm like, did we push this too far? Because it's almost like we're trying to become men, but we're not, like you said, biologically designed to do that. And so, of course, the adrenals, the hormones, the nervous system is going to shut down at one point. And that's what I experienced too. And it's pretty hard to rebuild all that stuff. It takes a long time. I don't even know if I'm there yet. So instead, let's try to dip into that more natural energy, that feminine energy, which is maybe just moments of creation, of caring, of nurturing. Maybe it's just moments of honest communication where we're not people pleasing. We're not saying what others want to hear, but we're truly speaking our truth. These things, that's also what I teach them. It doesn't have to necessarily be a meditation. It can also be how we care for ourselves and our needs in acknowledging that feminine energy.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what layers this even deeper is when some of these clients are moms, because you're dealing with, okay, that requires a lot of feminine energy. But if you're always in the masculine with work, and then you just need to like switch from, achieving and having that like fast paced high achievement to, okay, now I'm home with the kids. Sometimes it can feel, and I'm speaking from experience here, like a little bit like suffocating and almost like I don't even know who am I?
No, exactly. Yeah.
And you can kind of, and then you feel like you've lost a little bit of both identities. I've said before, I'm like, at certain points, like I'm not even aware. I'm just on autopilot. Like I'm just like doing, right? And if you don't have a coach who so beautifully is able to bring you back to like earth, so to speak, and teach you some very useful steps to kind of getting you out of that just autopilot, because then your business is, benefiting from it, your children, your family, it can be so layered, I think, especially when there's kids involved.
Oh, yes. And I'm glad you mentioned the earth. For me, nature was a huge catalyst also in my healing. I didn't mention that, but as I was doing the IHP, I really leaned into, more nature. Like I was wherever I could find it, wherever I could get lost in a forest, wherever I could go and on like on a hike. And I realized that nature is what really allowed me to slow down and understand what slowing down truly meant. Because I remember when my therapist first told me, I think you're in a burnout right now. Like, have you ever heard of that? And she's like, you need to slow down. And I remember telling her, but how? Like, how do I do that? And I remember just sitting on my couch and being like, okay, like what's next? Right? Because my mind was just used to that pace. That was my MO. I was used to the hamster wheel. And as crazy as it sounds, that was a numbing or a safety almost mechanism, right? That was keeping me alive in survival. And so when I unplugged from that, it was extremely confronting to be like, oh my God, where do I go from here? And I went to nature, and that really, really helped me to speed up my healing and really understand, oh, okay, so nature has seasons. Nature goes up and down. Nature dies, grieves, and rises again. And really understanding that and just, tapping into the higher frequency that nature holds was very healing for me. So all my clients, they have nature walk on their protocol. Like it's mandatory.
Yes. Yeah. And because I think sometimes people, they forget that the mind can be the bigger like catalyst of too busy, too fast, and like, yes, you could just like stop and like go get a facial. But if you're lying there getting your facial, strategizing about all of the things you're going to do when you leave, right? Your body's not actually taking that care. No, you're just strategizing how to escape the threat, right? Even though you might be strategizing good things, the constant mental, being on can be one of the biggest stressors, if not the biggest one, for sure. And so being able to kind of understand that along with the slowing down of the body, but slowing down of the mind too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you mentioned how doing that has a ripple effect on all spheres of your life. And that's something I so strongly believe in. And because I work with entrepreneurs as well, like these women, they have kids, they have a business, they have their own health. And so usually they always come last. Historically, that's when they come to me, they're in crumbles and they give to everybody willingly and happily, but they never make time for themselves. And so no wonder their business is suffering. They're wondering why things are plateauing, why they're not finding their ideal clients or whatever it is. And like you said, your energy trickles down in every aspect of your life. And even your kids will feel it, of course, and your relationship and I believe also like your financial situation, the abundance that you receive, it's all linked, right? Money is energy, flow is energy, health is energy. And so that's really also what I teach with my clients is knowing that your energy, and I believe that your business is also energy. Of course, there's a transfer there. And so how do we optimize that? And how do we make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, not coming from a place of lack, right? Because most of us, we're running in that, I call it the wounded masculine energy. And that was my situation. I was doing all these things to feel validated, to feel seen, to feel worthy. Right?
Yeah.
And when I saw myself in the mirror for what it really was, oh my gosh, I was like, oh, this is so wrong. Like, right. And that's also how I was able to unravel it and be like, okay, now I still want to be in my feminine and my masculine energy and get stuff done. But the energy behind it is so different because now I know who I am. I know I'm tapped into my body. I know what brings me joy. I know my needs. I honor those first and foremost, because I also know that I cannot give from an empty cup. Right. So when you do these shifts for yourself, then suddenly everything around you just like flourishes.
Yes. Yeah. And the why behind it is you're not tied to it from a place of, am I worthy? It's do I have to prove? You've already arrived there, and it's just an open space for you to, to give rather than, to tightly try to prove something.
Oh, and it's so beautiful and liberating when you achieve this. And I see it when my clients get there, it's everything shifts and it's so beautiful. Although now I'm about to add a disclaimer in my waiver, like you might quit your relationship, you might change your job, because it's radical, right? Because when you start reconnecting with those sides of you that maybe you completely, or maybe you never acknowledged or honored in your life, suddenly you realize like you don't have any patience or bandwidth for anything that's not aligned with you. And when you're on a healing journey, for me anyway, like especially I found doing the detox, I become so clear on the things in my life that are adding to me and to me becoming a better person, giving me more energy, expending me, that I have no time, no patience for anything else. Right. And so be ready. I always tell them this, be ready. It's a journey, but it's a journey of a lifetime. Isn't it amazing when you can reconnect with that true inner soul and suddenly disease go away because you're in alignment. There's flow in the body.
Exactly. Yes. And, our whole topic was energy, and people might think of that as, okay, am I tired or am I not tired? Right. But it's so much more than that. Yes, there's, foundational deficiencies like B vitamins and zinc and, adrenals and thyroid. But there's also this other layer of, I've seen clients who they're doing all those things and they have this like depressive energy about them. And that's where I'm like, I don't think this is about B vitamins anymore. I think, this is, and for some people, they're so ready to hear that conversation. I'm interested what you see as far as, are all your, female clients just kind of like open to diving into like those types of conversations right away? Is it something that you feel out and see where things go? Do you see that like you have to do the physical and then maybe you get, access to, more of the emotional? What do you see for?
So I 100% go there for everybody because I think it's a thing for everybody. But this is how I do it. I only take clients that I see are willing to go there. I don't work with everybody that calls me because I believe in the energy. And so I want the energy fit, right? So I'm looking for those people who are willing and ready to hear this stuff. And I tell them right away, like, we're going there. Are you, brace yourself. Are you okay with that? And of course, I've surrounded myself with some experts also that come in and help me amplify this message, whether it's like psychotherapists, breathwork experts. And so I have all these people that come in. But to your point, to me, I do the physical and the energetics at the same time. And that's how I can see rapid transformation. So of course, I will absolutely address nutritional deficiencies, and I will absolutely see, if there's something that's getting them stuck, like parasites or, based on their symptoms, 100% I will go there. But while we do all this shedding, let's take more with us out of the body, right? So if there's emotions that have been unprocessed, grieving, anger, and that needs to come out, well, we'll do it at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. Because sometimes the physical stuff heals better when that's been addressed. Yeah. And I love what you said, which is like that you don't take everybody that calls you. And that's just proof that you're right, practicing in your alignment, because sometimes it can, even as a practitioner, even though okay, these things could help, if you're wanting to practice in a way that is best for your clients, then that requires that you kind of allow people to flow into your space that you resonate with where you're going with your work. And I'm sure that would suggest for your clients.
Absolutely. And that's it. It's not coming from a place of financial insecurity or financial lack, because if it was, of course, I would take everybody that calls me. But I've been there, done that. And for this business that I'm in now, for this new baby, I'm not willing to compromise that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's of benefit to the client as well.
Of course, everybody wins.
Exactly. Because then they find a practitioner that's able to, kind of meet them where they're at in a way that, doesn't feel like they're holding back their own, truth and their own way of addressing things. And like you said, yeah, everybody wins. Another practitioner gets a client that is a good fit for them. That client gets what they need. You get another client who's a good fit for you, because when you allow the space for what's meant to be, it comes.
And that's why there is so much room for practitioners, right? And we all have our specialty. We all have our different flavor. We all have our unique approach, our unique experience that we're tying into that. And that's why I don't truly believe that we're competing necessarily, as long as we own our truths and as long as we own our experience, because we're all unique. Right. So I think there's so much room in this space for different practitioners. And you're right. Like there's, a type for everybody, which also is why the more you can niche, right? The more your ideal client, the better it is, because you're speaking right to them. Yeah. And so I don't try to speak to the masses. I know that I'm not for the masses. I know that a lot of people think I'm completely crazy, and I love it. I assume like it's perfect, right? But the people that find me, it's like we're vibing on a whole other level, and that's really what fuels me. See, that's that feminine energy. That's fun for me, and that so. For me, having seeing my clients every day, or I'm giving them access to me through like a safe texting platform. And it's just always a joy. Like I'm never like, oh no, not her, never. And so that keeps me going. That keeps my energy high, right? And energy is flow, it's movement. So anyway.
And that just goes back to what we were saying, in the sense that if it's in alignment, it boosts you. If it's not, right, if you're having to like, oh God, she's like not even seeing the fact that her anger is making her sick. Like, I'll just try to word it another way. Like, that's draining. And I've had experiences where I have, clients that I would literally work with them for free because of how much joy it brings me. And then there's clients that I know could pay me massive sums of money who I'm like, it's not worth a dime.
Exactly.
And when you get kind of really clear with, and not that like you don't want to help them, because anybody who needs that, right? I would always find someone for them because there's usually somebody that will fit them, just like there's somebody that would fit me. But when you're clear about what lights you up and what doesn't, that's when, like you said, the energy can kind of flow back to you. And the client gets the same energy in return because they're getting a practitioner who kind of believes in the direction that they're going.
And I'm seeing such rapid transformations from that. Like when the energy, like when everybody's all in, bringing a very high frequency to the table, it's like, it's magical. I'm going to use that word. It's magical what happens. And I think there is almost like an element of magic because it's like, wow, okay. Like think about, there's a true sense of alignment. And at a cellular level, that's really what the body wants, right? It's better communication in between our cells and better alignment. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll go even one step deeper in the sense that I think so many people today need to know that someone truly cares. Not somebody needs a paycheck and they also kind of care about what they do, but like that there is not a codependent type of situation, but that you love what you do and you believe that it's magic, right? And so many of us just need someone to go, you can do it. And I'm going to hold this space for you to transform because I believe in your ability to do that. That can be so powerful, especially today when like we're just not even connected to like family the way that we should, like the village, right? Like the mom's not still there and the sister and the best friend. Like so many of us are just alone trying to, keep it together, that just having like that one softens the nervous system. It relaxes the nervous system, allows for like proper movement. And then, like you said, magic happens.
Oh yeah. No, it's so true. Yeah.
Okay. So if people are listening and they want to kind of find out more, before we signed on, you had mentioned that you have a podcast. So give us all of the places that you show up. So social media, your website, podcast.
Yeah. I hang out on Instagram a lot. That's sort of my favorite platform. I'm at Vanessa.Grutman there. And then I have a podcast every week. It's called the Energy Upgrade. And this is just, again, this is a place where I have so much fun. I just share the latest things I've discovered and I have great people coming on. And it's just a really amazing platform for people when they just want to have access to the energy behind what I do, when they just want a real experience or a first transmission, almost they can go there and they'll feel it. And then I also have a couple coaching programs. One of them is called the Energy Upgrade also. And it's really for high achieving women who are really in that state of they need to heal. Like they really cannot function anymore. They're tired of being tired. They're waking up tired in the morning. Like the energy is really the missing link in their life. So that's a 6-month container. And I call it a hybrid coaching program because we meet every week for a group masterclass. And then I see them one-on-one. And I have a holistic nutritionist also working in my team to do a deeper layer on like recipes and things for the family and really kind of tying it all up together. So that's a really powerful program, amazing transformations there. And then I also have a new one that's launching in the fall, really for entrepreneurs who are ready to get to the next level. I'm doing the high performance coaching, so for longevity. So I'm bringing that in, like that notion of when you've done your healing, like health optimization, longevity, biohacking, and that whole concept of energy and reciprocity between you and your business, and that whole concept of like applying those longevity principles to your business as well. I'm having lots of fun there because that's also how I'm approaching this business now. And so that's also going to be my next thing. I'm super excited about that. And the energy behind it, right? It's so important.
Yes. Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, it sounds also amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate everything that you shared with us on the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast. This is such a fun conversation for me. And I think all of the listeners would agree. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Julia.
Take care, Vanessa.
Bye.